Emilie De Rochefort, also known as Lili, is the only child of a wealthy oil industrialist. Lili is described as a very excessively spoiled and well-mannered girl that seems to have always had a comfortable life growing up. So during the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5, Lili was captured and held ransom for that particular reason. While in captivity, she struggled violently to free herself, taking out one of her captors. That fight triggered her hunger for battle. However, Lili's father was a good-hearted man who hated conflict. Alright, so here we have the classic rich spoiled girl who likes fighting, but the dad does not approve of that kind of storyline, which is not really that deep if you ask me, but it is something fun, right? Not every storyline has to be dark, losing parents and all that kind of thing. So it's a kind of good storyline for Lili. I actually do like it as well. So Lili could no longer control her urge to fight. Under the guise of a simple vacation, she used the family's private jet to take part in street fighting tournaments around the world. One day, she receives an invitation to a certain fighting tournament from an opponent she defeated in San Francisco. Lili soon realizes that the host of this tournament was none other than the Mishima Zaibatsu. The main source of her father's problems. She decides to enter the tournament and put an end to her father's business troubles. Okay, so from this description, we do not know exactly how much the Mishima Zaibatsu is involved with Lili's father, right? But we do know that the Mishima Zaibatsu has shares in whatever oil business this man has. So apparently, the Mishima Zaibatsu is a source of her father's problems. So we don't know to what extent what the Mishima Zaibatsu has been doing in the background, because we all know that these men are always up to some shady stuff. Like, bro, you cannot just deal with the Mishima Zaibatsu and walk out scot-free, right? It does not work like that. So this is the extent of what we're told during the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5, Dark Resurrection. Although during her end description, we do learn that the Rochefort family, which is Lili's family, they file for bankruptcy. Or we hear through the show, for listening to the radio, that they've been declared bankruptcy after the trading partner, the Mishima Zaibatsu, collapsed. Right. So this is it's that kind of thing where we don't know if the ending description or the ending movie is part of the main storyline. Like, is it canon? Is it not? And unfortunately, it does not tie up with the Tekken 6 storyline, which I will get into just a bit. So what we know so far is that Lili is a spoiled brat who loves fighting, right? The daughter of a very rich man, oil industrialist. And at the end of Tekken 5, we do learn that the father files for bankruptcy, or the family, the Rochefort family, does file for bankruptcy after the trading partner, the Mishima Zaibatsu, collapsed. This is the information that we're all given, but as you can tell, there are so many gaps and so many plot holes to this, we don't know exactly how to fill it up. So now, enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6. Lili decides to join the tournament without her father's knowledge again. We do know that the father did not like violence, so it's kind of like, doing things behind the father's back. Classic, rich daughter kind of vibe. So she was defeated by Asuka. To add insult to injury, the father soon discovered that Lili had entered the tournament. Forbidden from leaving home, Lili was unable to take revenge on Asuka. It was then that her father's oil fields were taken over by the Mishima Zaibatsu. We just spoke about this earlier, bro. You do not deal with the Mishima Zaibatsu and expect to get away scot-free, right? These guys are always plotting some shit in the background. Like, all the time, these guys are up to something hella shady. So from this, we do learn that the Mishima Zaibatsu was after the father's oil company, and they were able to take the father's oil fields, which is kind of sad. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man, kind of moment. So the company fell into disarray and Lili's father collapsed due to the stress. Lili was concerned for her father's well-being. She figured that if she could get back his oil fields, she would be able to relieve her father's anxiety. While she was formulating her plans, the Mishima Zaibatsu announced the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6. Unable to pass up such an opportunity, Lili enters the tournament in order to help her father. Alright, so going back to the Tekken 5 DR ending description, from there we learned that the Rochefort family filed for bankruptcy, right? So now enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6, we learned that the Mishima Zaibatsu takes over the oil fields and the father collapsed due to this stress. Now we don't know if they were still bankrupt, right? Before the Mishima Zaibatsu took over the fields, or they were bankrupt after. We don't know if they still had, if the father was still rich when the Mishima Zaibatsu took over the oil fields. This is kind of the plot hole that I was talking about. It's not completely described just to what extent, you know, the Rochefort family fell into bankruptcy. We do not know if the Mishima Zaibatsu took over while they're still rich or when they were bankruptcy. But I think the Mishima Zaibatsu takes over the company after the Rochefort family files for bankruptcy. That makes much more sense. So in Lili's ending description, this has nothing to do with the main storyline, right? She pretty much develops a friendly rivalry with Asuka in a way. We're not really told exactly how she met Asuka, right? I think she just found her in a tournament and lost to her and kind of developed the rivalry just there and then. So it's kind of like a friendly rivalry kind of thing, kind of like Jin and Hwarang. So it doesn't really tie into the main Tekken 5, Tekken 6 storyline. So this is Lili's whole story explained for Tekken 6 Bloodline Rebellion. So pretty much just wants to help her father get back on his feet. Enter the King of Iron Fist Tournament 7. Lili enters the tournament again without telling her father this time either. Like she does it a second time. So there was anyway smiling as the Rapture's crowd looked on and her opponent entered the arena. Lili was set to fight Asuka Kazama, someone she had personally considered her greatest rival for many years. If Lili saw the look of annoyance on Asuka's face, it didn't show. She just walked elegantly to the center of the ring like she owned it, all the while thanking Lady Luck for the opportunity to fight her rival again. Okay, so this again has nothing to do with the main storyline of the Rochefort family, the oil industry. You guys have heard me complain about this issue again, right? Most of the Tekken storylines were killed in Tekken 7. Tekken 6, Tekken 7 killed a lot of storylines, and unfortunately Lili fell victim to this as well. I mean, granted, the Tekken 6 storyline expands a bit on, you know, the Mishima Zaibatsu taking over the father's wealth and all that stuff, but it is not expanded upon. We skip to Tekken 6 and we skip to Tekken 7, and like Namco decides to focus on the whole rivalry thing with Asuka. Like, come on, we don't really care about the friendly rivalry thing. We want to know what goes on with the father and the whole oil company thing, bankruptcy thing. Tell us more about that, Namco. Tell us more about that. I don't understand why they had to focus on, you know, the Lili Asuka whole aspect of thing, which is kind of sad, right? Like, granted, it is fun. It's kind of like Jin and Hwarang, but there's nothing really there, bro. Like, come on, we need a deeper storyline for her as well. Expand on the whole oil company thing. Let her be pissed about what the Mishima Zaibatsu did to her father. Let her be upset, right, with Kazuya or Heihachi, all that stuff. But it's like, oh, my father is dying. He's collapsed inside, and I'm gonna just join a tournament again and fight my greatest rival, right? Like, what? What? We do not really know exactly what's going on. So that's pretty much Lili's overall storyline explained. Now we do have a side story that Lili has with Eliza. They do have some certain connection, right? I'm going to do a separate video on Eliza, but due to the fact that Eliza kind of ties with Lili, I thought I would explain a bit of that as well. So in Eliza's ending, which presumably takes place after Lili's ending, right after that, she meets Eliza, right, at the headquarters of the archers of the Sirius, I believe, which is Claudio's gang. Right? So that happens after Eliza defeats Claudio Serafina in her story. So Lili claims that Eliza is her sister, even though Eliza dismisses this due to being a 1,000-year-old vampire. And it all turns up to this comedy thing where Lili tries to explain the whole thing, but Eliza keeps passing out and all that stuff. So again, it's like Namco don't really want to dive deep into the lore of certain characters, which is kind of sad, because this can be a very, very awesome storyline. The whole Eliza being Lili's sister, but Eliza is a vampire who's been sleeping under the Sirius headquarters for like over 1,000 years old, right? So we don't really know the connection between Lili and Eliza, which is kind of sad, bro. I wish Namco could expand upon that, bro. It could be so hype. It would be so good for the lore as well. I don't even think, because I do think Eliza might make it Tekken 8, honestly. But I don't know if Namco have the balls to extend the storyline between Eliza and Lili. But I really, really would love to see this. So overall, Lili does have a decent storyline, but unfortunately it is not expanded upon. If only Namco had the balls, bro, to do a deeper storyline for her, bro, it would be so good. It would be so good. Just this whole, company battle between Mishima Zaibatsu and the Rochefort family, that's where I want Namco to focus on. I mean, they could also focus on Eliza and Lili, to kind of separate her from her father, right? That would work out as well. I would love that as well. So that is Lili's complete storyline explained, my boys, from Tekken 5 DR to Tekken 7. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to check out my other lore videos, including Miguel. Yeah, check out Miguel's video if you enjoyed this video, and GG, my boys.